August Team Brief is being filmed at Ward 1 at Wrightington, and this is where we do all of the upper limb patients for all of their procedures and some of their clinics. Now, I'm shortly going to be meeting Carol Hill, who is the patient flow coordinator here, and as usual I'll be asking her 3 quiz questions. First of all, how many inpatients a day on average do we process through Wrightington? Secondly, which mother who works here has got a famous sporting son? And thirdly, and worth waiting for, which of our consultants at Wrightington went into the ring with an Olympic boxing champion and rugby tackled him? This month's corporate objective is the tremendously important one about keeping our death rates below the average for similar hospitals. And really, it couldn't be better timing, because the latest monthly figure we have, which is from April 2014, is our best ever of 60.4. And that's on top of a year which averaged 87.4, one in which there were 469 less deaths in hospital than 7 years ago, and already in this year we're a further 12% down. So this is a corporate objective we can be extremely pleased about. On infection rates, it's been quite a good month. No cases of MRSA, 1 of C. diff, 2 MSSA and E. coli, and I've already told you the excellent figure for HSMR. If you look at the chart here for C. diff, you can see just how well we're doing compared to previous years, because here we are at 6 so far the year, and you can see the 2 previous years were much higher. And now here is that fantastic HSMR graph, and if you look in the bottom right hand corner, you can see that lowest ever monthly total, so that's brilliant. So what does that add up to for serious harms in July? We had no never events, the 4 serious infections, no pressure ulcers, 2 serious falls, no ventilator acquired pneumonia and no central line infections. So that's 6 harms in total, the same as the previous month. Here's the latest A&E chart, and as you can see we are still missing the 95% target and we are still stuck in mid-table. However, the good news is that the last few weeks are beginning to see a steady improvement, so let's hope that continues. Now, finances are getting a little bit tighter, and in the month we were £500,000 below the surplus that we wanted to achieve. Income is above budget, but unfortunately so is expenditure, and at the moment our year-end surplus has been reduced its forecast to £3.5 million. However, there is good news on CIP, where we're still ahead of plan, and on capital expenditure, where we've already spent over £3 million, and this all still gives us the top financial risk rating. Just 2 things to report on service and site. The works at Wrightington are continuing extremely well, and the steel work is now completed and the brickwork has started. And it's still expected that the first patients will move there in February 2016. And finally, we had a visit for the accreditation of the endoscopy department, which has given a glowing report of our services at Lee and has given partial approval for some of the improvements that need to be made to achieve accreditation at Wigan. So well done to all staff involved in endoscopy. We're now into the last few weeks of Healthier Together, and the response from staff, from the public and from the Wigan Observer has been absolutely fantastic. We know that the number of completed questionnaires going in from Wigan is over 25% of the total received, far more than any other of the boroughs around Greater Manchester. So that's as good as it could possibly be. So the final message for the last few weeks is, if you haven't done so already, could you, and encourage your friends as well, to fill in that questionnaire and send it off, selecting options 5.1 and 5.2. We will of course continue to keep you informed about what is happening. We've had another fantastic achievement in the annual Place Awards. This is the patient-led assessment of the care environment, where we actually came top in the whole country for cleanliness, and even Jeremy Hunt, the Secretary of State, tweeted his congratulations. So I'd like to thank everybody that works in cleaning in particular, and of course there is a strong link between this performance and our good performance on infection rates as well. Just to report the latest pulse checks, this is what you tell us about how you feel about the organisation. I'm very pleased to see that the number of people who would recommend WWL to friends and family has gone up from 68% to 82%, and the proportion who would recommend it as a place to work has gone up from 71% to 77%. This is encouraging, but we do recognise that it is still a very pressured environment and we have a lot to do yet to make it a better place to work. Now, for the first time, the Trust is hosting a conference on quality with some great nationally known speakers, and we're inviting people to apply for places, and there is a reduced rate of £50 per head for staff. If you'd like to apply, you can see the details here. Finally, Employee of the Month is Dr. Raghu Mani, who works in our maxillofacial services. Dr. Mani has received many compliments, but probably the most outstanding one is of the day he came back jet-lagged from a long overseas trip and immediately came into work to help treat a patient. So congratulations to Dr. Mani and very well done to all those who nominated him. Now I'm meeting with Carol Hill, who is the Patient Flow Coordinator, and Carol has actually worked at Wrightington for 30 years this Christmas, so that's really impressive. So Carol, what are the main functions of the Patient Flow team here?
Managing patients from perioperative stage, which is in pre-operative clinic, all the way through the patient journey through theatres and recovery and the wards and to discharge, obviously a safe, effective discharge. So it's the whole episode of a patient's care rather than just managing a bed.
And what are the main pressures and problems that you face?
On a day-to-day, it's around bed capacity, increased activity, which obviously does then put pressure on beds, dealing with external agencies. 60% of our patients are from outside the area, so that in itself adds pressures on referrals to social workers. We don't have on-site social worker here, so as a team of people we tend to take on that role. So it's the team approach that we're very keen on at Wrightington that actually delivers a patient safe episode for a patient.
And what are you most proud of?
The team, the patient flow team, around the communication, but also the team as a whole, because you can't work without every other member of that team. So from the physiotherapy, occupational therapy, I think we've built a really good team with the wards.
That's really impressive. And I understand that you've had a development over the last few months that you can just tell us about.
We've started a bed meeting in an afternoon at 2 o'clock, and that brings all the team members together that are involved in the patient pathway, and that's where we look at planning the following day, and also where we look at problems of that day. It's a very structured approach, and we have an action plan from that meeting, so there's accountability as well, and there's an escalation process for things that may cause problems for that patient or for the team itself.
And finally, the 3 quiz questions. Number 1, roughly how many inpatients a day do you process through Wrightington?
50 to 55 a day.
Number 2, which mother who works here has a famous sporting son?
It's myself. It's Chris Hill. He plays for Warrington and he has been selected for England.
And finally, which orthopaedic consultant got into the ring with an Olympic boxing champion and rugby tackled him?
That would be Mike Hayton.